we all know people that are suffering from anxiety. If we haven't suffered from anxiety ourselves, chances are we know somebody who's suffered from anxiety. And if you really break down what anxiety is, right, a fear of the future, we have to understand that it doesn't require the presence of a fear for us to feel fear, right? So you could drive home tonight and pull into your driveway, and when you get out of your car, somebody's standing in front of you with a knife, right? So that's a real fear, right? Your pupils are going to dilate, your heart rate's going to increase, your extremities are going to flood with blood. You're going to start to have a fight or flight response, mainly because an area of your brain has dumped catecholamines, fight or flight neurotransmitters, into your brain. Boom, now you start to have a fight or flight response. But you could also be laying on the 30th floor of a condo in bed, and you could just start thinking about getting eaten by a shark.
Yeah.
Okay, and the chances of a shark getting out of the ocean and coming up a 30th floor elevator, right, are zero. But you can have the exact same reaction. So how is it that I can have the same reaction to the presence of a real fear as an entirely perceived fear? Because it doesn't require the presence of a fear for these excess catecholamines to leak into the brain. And this is why the majority of anxiety that we have seen in our practices, that my clinical team treats, is coming from our physiology. It's not coming from our outside environment. In fact, if you ask most people that suffer from anxiety 3 questions, if you say, have you had it on and off your entire lifetime? They'll say yes. There's your first sign that it's a genetic deficiency. And then you say, well, can you point to the specific trigger that causes it? They'll say, most of the time I can. There's your second sign that it's not coming from their outside environment. And then the third question is, if you've ever tried anti-anxiety medications, have they worked? The majority of the time they'll say, no, it just makes me feel like a zombie. That is very indicative that this is a nutrient deficiency and not a mental condition. We have a lack of, yeah.
So do you encourage people to take methylfolate as a supplement? Or
Absolutely. I encourage them. I think
what's
everybody
the dose
should,
that they should take?
well, it's weight dependent, but methylfolate about 800 micrograms a day is usually sufficient.
Is that something you take with food?
You can take it with or without food. It's a water soluble vitamin. So unlike vitamins A, D, E, and K, which are actually fat soluble that you need to take with food for them to be absorbed, you can actually take those even on an empty stomach, as long as you're not taking it with a bunch of other vitamins that cause you to be nauseous because it changes your stomach pH. I think every single person should be at a minimum on a methylated multivitamin. The basic raw materials that your body needs to perform the process of methylation. Because methylation is how we create neurotransmitters, right? I mean, we make serotonin from taking tryptophan, an amino acid, and methylating it into serotonin. We make dopamine from, phenylalanine and tyrosine. If you can't make these conversions, you have certain deficiencies. And yes, you can have deficiencies in neurotransmitters, which will lead to the expression of a mood disorder. You don't have a mental illness. You just have a lack of mental fitness. And this is why I think
That's crazy.
We're so quick to say that we have pathology and disease or dysfunction, and then we go to chemicals and synthetics and pharmaceuticals. And I'm not anti-pharmaceutical, but what I'm saying is, before we diagnose somebody with a mental illness or an autoimmune disorder or with an allergy or a sensitivity or irritable bowel syndrome or any number of other conditions, we should ask ourselves, what raw material could be missing from their body that could be causing this to happen? Right? I mean, like when I was in the